Okay, the channel is live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Adventure on So Many Levels. We're going to play Masks, a New Generation.
Woo!
Yay!
Yay!
Uh,
Finally.
yes, I'm Christiana Ellis, the game master, and it has been a few weeks. Um, more than a month, I think, technically, since our last session of this for a variety of complicated reasons, most of them involving me this time. But, that's how it goes sometimes. In the meantime, though, our players rather, Flair, played by Nobilis,
Whoosh.
Curie, played by Dove Archambault,
Oh, what are we gonna get into this time?
Mayhem, played by Lee Burdett,
Some chaos, methinks.
Vanguard, played by Jason Banks.
No cruise ships, no tentacles this time.
Well, we'll see. You don't know. And Antares, played by Paul Weimer.
I've been in this town so long that back in the city I've been taken for lost and gone and alone for a long, long time. Fell in love years ago with an innocent girl from the Halcyon City home of the heroes and villains. Tribute to Brian Wilson. Rest in peace.
Okay.
So, when last we left our heroes, they had found that a new underwater crustacean villain had set up an ocean restaurant where fish people could choose from their live humans to order for dinner. This did not seem like something that you could all, allow to proceed. So you dispatched these crustacean foes and managed to emerge alive with the people that you rescued. And things seemed to go pretty well there. Now, just on the basis that it has actually been a few weeks since we played, I'm going to suggest that it's been a few days since that, and that everything has been a little bit lower key. So, to start, let's just have each of you kind of say what you've been getting up to for the last few days.
Blair has been having an absolute blast with his new secret identity as a college student slash TV news intern um, at the Halcyon Cable News Network. I haven't figured out a good name for it yet.
HCNN.
And yeah, I think HCN is good. I think HCN is good.
Yeah, HCN works.
Yeah, given that it's it's deadly poison. Um, um, hydrogen cyanide for those who don't read chemical formulas.
Well, you could do if you wanted to avoid that, you could just HCC would be Halcyon City Cable.
Yeah.
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 Or
say Halcyon Cable Channel. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, he's been, I mean, interns at pretty much every job, but just like anywhere else, kind of get a lot of the jobs that fall kind of on the lowest of the low on the totem pole. So, but they do all kinds of things. So, gets a crack at editing and so, writing articles that are going to go in, usually the filler things that go at the end of a newscast when they've kind of run out of what they plan to do and they've still got a minute and a half. So, this just in, man bites dog, um, and then a picture of a guy eating a hot dog. Uh, those sorts of things, and filling in when someone's out, and doing just general fetch and carry stuff. but interns are supposed to be learning while they're there, but that often doesn't happen. And yeah, he's doing that and also studying journalism at Halcyon City University.
All right. So, what do you look like in your secret identity, and what is your secret identity name?
Um, I have not actually thought of what his name is in his secret identity. Give me a moment on that. I'll get back to you.
Sure.
And also I have an image of him in his secret identity. I'll send that to you as well. We can go on to somebody else.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could describe it briefly if for
glasses with a strange iron-like finish to them. Polo shirt, Dockers. The only real any kind of real strangeness is wears a ponytail
Okay.
on his bright red hair.
Sure. So certainly the point being disguised as a regular human. And
Yes.
yeah. All right. Wonderful. So there is a move associated with the secret identity. And so when time passes, roll plus your mundane to see how you're handling your obligations.
Okay.
Look at that. A 9. On a 7 to 9, you've lapsed on one obligation, your choice.
Okay. Since considering that I mentioned the job in school and left off the third one, I think we'll say that I've lapsed on my social obligation, which is my new girlfriend. Aurelia.
Oh no.
So, how do you suppose you lapsed in that way? Where you just sort of like you kind of meant to call her and just haven't like gotten around to it because you've been so busy, or?
I think well, given that we are modern teenagers, it wasn't a phone call, it was a text message.
Sure.
And it was several of them. He kind of because there's all kinds of demands going on and he had just gotten a couple of spam messages, he just turned off the alerts on it, stuck it in his pocket, and forgot about it for the rest of the day. So didn't get back to her for like hours and hours.
Okay. So I think that as you are, you've been kind of scrambling. You've been dealing, with because this is still pretty new. We said a few days have passed, right? Like, but you've like had your first, like your orientation at school,
at both the university and at the job.
And so,
and then just like, okay, boom, here you go.
So Sunglass has helped you to establish these things and has given you a backstory, I'm sure. Do you think you've been doing well at selling the backstory, or do you think that you're kind of half-assing that?
I think that at work, nobody cares. I mean, he's the intern. He's going to be gone in a few months.
Yeah.
Pay attention if he does a good job, but these, these starry-eyed kids, usually when they figure out how hard the work is, they bail. So I don't think the job side of things is paying a lot of attention to my backstory. But yeah, at school, there's a lot of, I haven't seen you around. Where are you from? And his answer of some Midwestern small city that a significant number of people probably never heard of. kind of lets him invent a backstory that isn't going to intersect with too many people.
Okay. So I think that you are sitting in one of your big lecture classes. Things have you know gotten off to a relatively good start, but there is a big commotion. You're sitting in a big lecture hall, so it's full. The professor is down there talking about the syllabus for this semester, and then there's a big commotion as you turn and look, and a young woman, presumably also a student, has entered from the back, but has clumsily tripped and is currently tumbling down the stairs in this big lecture hall. In a let's say in real life it would be serious and very concerning. In this circumstance, it is somewhat more comic. This is a pratfall style fall. But what do you do?
Okay. I'm gonna go a little inside my own head here.
Mm-hmm.
My first reaction as Nobilis Reed,
Mm-hmm.
is I'm suspicious and I want to do a pierce the mask move, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. This is Flair. Flair is definitely not as suspicious as I am. So he's going to try and help. Either it probably is going to happen faster than it's going. The actual fall is going to happen faster than he feels like he can fake getting in the way at human speed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He's not.
Yeah, well, I think
he's
the
being
fall
very
is
careful.
in progress when you notice, right? Like you
Yeah.
hear people go, and you look, and you see she's already falling.
Yeah. This doesn't sound like something that's like serious enough for him to really risk unmasking himself by moving too fast.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to kind of let it happen the same way everybody else is, and then move to help her once she's,
Okay.
come to rest.
Sure. So I'm going to suggest that this is another plus mundane move.
Okay.
Specifically because it is putting a challenge to your ability to do things the way a human would.
Right. That's an 8.
Okay, so I think that trying to remember how this game works.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
we
Yeah.
kind of need to name the move I'm taking here.
Yeah, that's true. I think that this, well, in a very real way, this is like a comfort
Okay.
and support,
Comfort
right?
or support, yeah.
Yeah. Because you are, you're doing so in that way. Where is that? I'm trying to find that move.
Yeah.
There we
plus when
go.
they're on a
Yeah,
hit,
so
they hear
comfort
you.
and support. Yeah.
Yeah. They mark potential, clear a condition, or shift labels if they open up to you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, so this is a hit. And I think in this context, it's not a PC, so the potential clear a condition. I think we can interpret that as you have you have helped the fall not be as bad as it could have. So you kind of just
right.
you sort of you move over and catch her, you stop her from tumbling all the way down to the bottom of the lecture hall.
Yeah, and maybe saved her laptop from being smacked too hard.
Yeah. And so I think that as she is in your arms, you notice that for reasons that are not at all clear in the normal visual sense, she feels twice as heavy as she should. And as she is looking up at you, she says, "Oh my gosh, sorry, I'm so sorry, but thank you for your help. You're my hero." And then she winks at you.
And I think I'll wink back because I have a feeling I know who this is. So, I'll say, well, over here, there's a seat that's free next to me. I'm being as yeah,
Well,
I,
that plus
accepting her.
helping me makes up for you not calling me back. And she like slaps you on the shoulder. And the way she slaps you, like, I don't think anyone else would notice, but it is absolutely the sort of thing that if you were a regular human, she would have dislocated your shoulder. But you're fine.
So I
But it's
guess
just
this
one of
is
those
Aurelia.
things. But yeah, so you get the sense that she has got some kind of a disguise, probably functions differently than your own, but
But
yeah, yeah, she has followed you to school.
yeah.
So, and I think at this point the professor is just saying, "Well, we are a city of heroes after all, but who here would actually like to learn about journalism?" So that seems like some good activity for Flair.
And
Who
I
else?
have figured out the name in
Okay.
the meantime. Aiden Fiorella.
Aiden Fiorella. All right. Okay. So who else has something that you have been spending some time on for the last little bit?
Something I think I would hope Kiri and Mayhem would do would be to do an actual sparring match where
Oh
we're
yeah.
not necessarily trying, or either one of us would try and be actually harming each other.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you're on the list, man.
Yeah.
Well, this is
All right.
life.
So this is a more good-natured one. I
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
imagine it almost feeling like it's partly kind of to make up for the last one
yeah.
being a little
Yeah.
bit
Yeah.
angrier than it was supposed to be. Okay. So do
Yeah.
you either of you want to do some rolls to see how it goes, or do you want to just kind of just
My thought
describe
is
it?
like like just like each of us do a roll for each of us do one roll and then and see how it goes from there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
that-
Sure.
okay.
This is like
So
Like-
each of you tell me what move you're trying and
Yeah.
which move which rather like what you're doing in the fiction and then what
Yeah.
move you feel is the one you're thinking of.
Yeah, I'm just doing a standard, engage a threat.
yeah.
Engage.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Oh, miss.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
Mayhem's not
yeah,
much better.
That's a 5 with the
Yeah, but you
curing,
got
which is a miss,
hit.
but a 7 is a hit. So I think Mayhem comes out on top on this sparring
Yeah.
match. But certainly I think we can imagine it being. So how about the two of you just describe this scene? Like, how does it all play out?
Especially since this is like Daredevil versus the Hulk.
Yeah. I think Kiri squares up with Mayhem real confident, and about like 30 seconds go by and she is sliding face down across the floor about 5 feet.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to hit the wall. I think mostly Mayhem is focusing on trying to trip you up because you're an agility fighter. And so rather than like go like head to head like she might with Antares or Flair or Vanguard, she's trying to use more of the agility, tripping you up, getting in your way, getting being an obstacle rather than trying to like actually do physical harm, so that you guys can figure out how you can fight together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Versus,
that preparation is exactly what gets Kiri so bad, because like, she tries to do like a leap off an obstacle to get some height and
yep.
punch down, and you just like bat her away, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we go out for smoothies after, because it is a friendly spar this time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. One thing I think you probably were wondering with the last
Mhm.
time was, how are you able to move the obstacles in the course so easily? And, because, when I had them put in, they were made that way, just couldn't get them motorized.
Mhm.
Yeah, because, back home, I learned my acrobatic stuff in a forest. And,
Okay.
trees don't necessarily stay still when there's wind.
Nope.
So you gotta be ready for them to move.
Yeah. So you're used to taking the high ground.
Oh yes. Oh
Yeah.
yes.
So actually, like, throwing you up would be a really good tactic.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Okay.
definitely
That's
let you
something we
know.
can do.
Yeah.
Something we can work on. That'll
Yeah.
work. That you can kind of see that Mayhem has something turning in the back of her head, that yeah, okay. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that could definitely be helpful. Okay. Yeah, we can work on that.
Definitely tell me what you're cooking up, because that's gotta be something good.
Well, it's a work in progress. I'll let you know more as I'm ready to let you know more.
Okay. And something else Carrie would like to do is go and visit the needle, and you know have a chat with them about specifically the stuff with that happened with the chef,
Okay.
you know and see if like maybe they could get um you know check if they have the connections needed to check with the chef and see if you know things are good between him and the Harbor Kids,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
specifically me.
Okay. Okay. So let me think.
If you need to move.
Well, I'm just thinking about because your relationship with the needle is a little different than someone who has just bought like a super suit from them,
Yeah.
right? So my sort of, I think you know enough to know that if you were just a customer, this would be something that she would almost certainly just shut down entirely. She does not talk about other people that like this. That
Hey.
this is like she works on. They work on you know professional relationships. They don't talk about clients to other clients. They don't get into that sort of like gossip talk, right? And so I think that that they would probably not have really entertained that conversation at all if you were just a customer.
Yeah, Gary would never even considered if it wasn't for the connection.
Sure, sure. I think that so like how do you spin this? Are you showing up for like what do you like make an appointment to say that this
I
is what it's about
I'll
or
call them and say and ask if they have some time to talk about things, because I you know I've made some I've made some friends, and we've done some good, and you know
okay.
want to see you know make sure you know everything's okay from the out from more professional super perspective.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What is your, because we haven't really had the needle on screen yet, so to speak. um, what it like? Sorry, I'm just hesitating. I'm a little bit slow
What
to.
is their appearance?
No. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Yeah. What is their
So,
appearance?
are they are they are very gender fluid. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they could put on any clothing, and if they wanted to, it would look perfect on them.
Okay.
It would look perfectly fitted, perfectly suited. You know, well, they would make physical adjustments if needed,
Mhm.
but yeah.
Sure.
And just otherwise kind of kind of forgettable in actual appearance. Most people would know them because of the impeccable style and their
Mhm.
skill.
So I think if if you say you want to talk, they definitely will. They clear a spot in their schedule for you, and you make your way to their kind. They have. I don't want to. It's not like a studio. It's more like there's a storefront, but it's one of those where it's not just like ground floor. Store for anybody. Like it is by appointment, and so you are going up to like it's an upper level on an office building as opposed to like a street level clothing shop.
Yeah.
But you head back there, and you just you see someone you don't recognize, but who looks just like an ordinary person, but who is definitely coming out with a box of the type to be what the boxes look like when you get a super suit. So who might that be? Oh, so maybe some super other hero.
Harry's
You don't know.
gonna
Mhm.
give them a polite nod and try and
Mhm.
remember what they look like just in case.
Okay.
But
Well, so I think you looking at them in that way is already kind of just like they're looking at you like, why? Don't you know how this works? Don't look at me.
oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Uh,
that's okay. Like, I'm not saying you did anything wrong. I'm saying that, like, that person's reaction is
uh,
I am
okay.
clearly here not in my costume. I don't want someone trying to remember my face and assuming that I might be someone in a costume later.
Okay.
You know what I
In
mean?
their
You see how? Yeah.
reaction,
Yeah.
with their reaction, I'll just be like, and move on.
Yeah. They do not want to have any interaction at all. They're leaving.
Okay.
So, uh, as you go in, the needle is just, Curie. You still going by Curie then?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Is that what you wanted to talk about?
No, not really. Well, mostly as you might have been known from, talk around town, my friends, the Harbor Kids, have done some pretty good things. And we've had some interactions with other more prominent supers. And there's one I never actually got to follow up on the interaction, and I just want to make sure everything is good between us and him. This
Is there a reason why you would come to me with that question instead of them?
mainly because I do not know where they are. Since our last interaction, uh, it is Le Chef. They have moved their place of access.
Uh, my dear, Le Chef famously runs a ninja kitchen if one were to ever find it in the same place twice, that would be the surprise.
Interesting. Well, I do not know to
Were
expect
you
that.
concerned that something had happened to them?
Well, mostly, at part of our interactions, there was there was an arrangement made, and I just wanted to confirm that, the arrangement was satisfied on my end. There,
I feel like there is a missing piece of this story that is preventing me from giving you the appropriate answer. Because I
Okay.
feel like the
Well,
mystery of this prevents me from actually understanding what you're talking about.
okay. I will, if you're ready, I will give you a general overview, and I'll give a general overview of the cake plan and all that stuff. Talk about Nona Olivia and uh, Gunpowder Guardian, and
All right.
yes.
So, I'm glad that all worked out. Is there a reason why you chose such a provocative way to present this question to a notoriously taciturn and, let's say, grumpy hero? I'm glad that it worked out, and honestly, the Le Chef cake probably helped.
Yes, I know.
But
I can.
tell me what was the reasoning?
That was the brainchild of Flair,
Huh.
who has the little under little has an odd idea of subtlety. It
Mm-hmm.
seems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be very surprised if he ever went somewhere and was not recognizable as himself.
Mm-hmm. So, Curie, I I know that you are very determined to go your own way here, and I know that you've found this connection with this team, and that it is you feel that it is working out for you, and I don't want to naysay the choices that you've made or anything like that, but it does strike me that in forming this team with these individuals, you are perhaps getting drawn into situations that are making you uncomfortable.
I, I don't think so. At least not much beyond going from a small town to a major metropolitan area.
It's
No.
it's a question of identity. You see, you and I know how devoted you are to serving others and helping people where you can. And I know that this team must mean well, and I'm not trying to criticize any of them. But in the hero business, identity is so important, and it shapes who you are and what you do and how you help. And I worry that being part of a team at this early stage in your development, instead of you bringing who you are, you simply become one of them, as opposed to, say, choosing a role model and following a path that you see ahead of you. And I know that we've had this conversation before, and you're not ready to take up the mantle of the needle. But are the harbor kids helping people in the way that you feel right with?
Yes. It, honestly, I never back back in my hometown, I never would have imagined that I could have literally saved the lives of multiple people in one day. Yet, you know, I did. I have.
Please don't mistake me here. I am not saying remotely that you are not capable of saving people. It is a question of, do you think it is your membership in the Harbor Kids that is allowing you to save people, or don't you think you might be able to save people on your own in the way that works best for you? Because you've just come to me with a concern that an eccentric plan from one of your teammates has put you in a situation where you're concerned about another. Is this something that perhaps being a hero on your own would let you choose your path more clearly? And I believe you could save people just as well or better.
What set up my concern regarding the chef is the fact that we could not do an immediate concrete trade of funds or other services in order to settle it right then and there.
Mhm.
If we had been able to do that, there would be no issue. We would have moved on with the plan, and it would have turned out just as well.
So what is the concern?
So what the chef had us do was promise to tell Mayhem's Nona Olivia that this was the last favor he would ever do for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what the history between the two is, but it is something I want to make sure is settled and in the past.
Well, here's what I would ask you from there. Have either of them expressed to you that they wish your involvement in this matter?
Mm-hmm.
You did just say you don't know what the history between them is. And I know, and I hope that you know, and this is the only reason you're telling me, is that I can be discreet when these sorts of questions arise. But I am gathering that this is the sort of information that probably neither of them would want known to others.
I don't want to, I don't want to cause problems for, anyone outside of any of this.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure that the promise I made is kept and accepted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that you were asked to deliver a message, and you did, and that the frustration you are feeling that something is left undone is not actually connected to either of them. They appear to be adults who have their own business with one another. But I think that what you have here is a feeling of someone who needs saving and you can't save them. And I believe that this is coming from a frustration that you are not saving people in the way that you could be. And I think that being part of this team has involved you in a perhaps gray area, these things happen. And part of becoming an adult superhero is to understand that there are these blurry lines sometimes. But I think that you are feeling conflicted because this group, this eccentric group with all of their different perspectives, are entangling you in ways that you are finding frustrating. And this is why I'm not telling you what to do, you know, but I want you to think about it. I want you to think about whether or not you really believe that you are able to save more people with the team than you could on your own. And she is actually trying to raise your savior and lower your superior, I think.
I am gonna try and reject.
Okay. All right. So let's see. The reject is, I believe, just where is this?
It's
Yeah, there we go. So you are just rolling. I believe
And there's
the,
no
just the
bonuses or
dice.
penalties?
Yeah.
right.
I hit an
Like-
8.
Okay. So on a 7 to 9, you're choosing one of the three options: clear a condition or mark potential by immediately acting to prove them wrong, or shift one label up and one label down, your choice, or cancel their influence on you and take +1 forward against them.
Let's see. I think I'm going to clear a condition, clear hopeless,
Mm-hmm.
and then let's see. And then let's see. And to act to
Yeah. Now that doesn't mean you have to like throw her words back in her face or something. You could just say you
Yeah.
end the meeting gracefully. But it sounds like immediately act to prove them wrong, given what she was saying, sounds to me like it would need to be something to sort of reaffirm your connection to the team in some way.
So, like, I will consider that. Another thing that that the team has been thinking about is some way of marking us as all part of the Harbor Kids, a symbol or some sort of uh, addition to whatever costume they might use. So
I think she gives you kind of a sad smile, which is sort of a kids, they're not going to listen, but sure, why not? Okay. And so yes, some sort of badge or emblem, I suppose, that could. You could
and
sh-
I figure we
yeah.
can just
Yeah.
kind of fade out on that.
Sure.
Page turn.
Mm-hmm. All right. Who has some other stuff you would want to have done?
Paul, are you
I,
muted?
I'm muted, but go ahead. Go
Oh,
ahead.
no.
Yeah.
Go
Well,
ahead.
I just-
everybody gets a turn. There's
Oh,
no. Yeah.
Okay. So after nearly becoming fish food, Antares feels like he needs a vacation away from the ocean.
Hmm.
So he's going to try to convince his mother that they need to go to Palm Springs.
Okay. Okay.
I actually have a little bit more here if you're going to allow me. So,
Sure. Yeah.
Antares convinced his mother that he needed a brief vacation, so they went to Palm Springs to decompress and relax. Antares avoided all the seafood and ate all the chicken and pork, but he did get involved with the sandworm infestation that happened down in Arago Dunes.
Mm-hmm. All right. Do we want to do a roll to see how that went?
Yeah, let's do a roll to see how well or not he actually
Okay.
did. I mean, I'm thinking the other superheroes were involved, but he got wrapped up in it, like it or not. So,
Sure, sure. So, tell me something you tried to do, and then we'll roll to see how well that went.
I tried. Well, I'm thinking these sandworms, not quite the Arrakis kind, but more like the Alpha Centauri boils of mind worms time. So he tried to blast a boil into oblivion
Mm-hmm.
because there were just so many of them, but that may or may not have gone as well as he hoped. So that would be directly engage the threat, I would say.
Yeah, yeah.
So that'll roll plus danger, see how well he did under those conditions.
Okay.
Oh, so that's a
six.
miss.
That's a miss. So, I think, yeah, perhaps you have a condition coming back from this vacation.
Yeah. Oh wow, I had 3 conditions already. Now I'm down to 4. Wow.
I mean, we can say you did some other stuff to try to remedy that, but I think you get one from this trip.
Yeah.
And perhaps this boil of mind worms, it's the sort of thing where you blast it and all of a sudden it just scatters them all over everybody.
Yeah, so he's gonna feel guilty.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So wow. That didn't go anywhere near like I hoped.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean that's how these things go.
Yeah, that's how he
sometimes,
says he's
but,
he's
You're-
a
you're-
superhero.
I mean, how many of us have not come back from some vacations feeling worse than when we left?
hmm.
This is exactly what happened.
Yeah. So I think in this couple of day period, you get a couple of calls from Dr. Haversham because you kind of
yes,
showed up to
yes.
sign all the paperwork and then said no, nothing today, and then left.
Yep.
And so. I mean, I think that they're very sort of polite and professional, but they're just sort of inquiring about when we might schedule a session of some kind.
I will schedule a session. I'll explain I'm on vacation on the other side of the continent, but I'm coming back in a couple of days.
Okay.
Which is the honest truth. I'm not deceiving Eric. I know I left with that weird thing, but now, especially after this last thing, yeah, feels like he really needs to control his power. So yeah, he's ready to go take another shot at Dr. Haversham and her tests.
Well, so I think even before, like, so you've made that appointment, but like, let's have a scene with you and your mom, after this. So first of all, here's a question: is Dad on this trip at all, or is he's just still?
Dad's in Europe again. Yeah.
Okay.
Absent father.
So yeah, your mom, Clarissa, I think, so you are called away at some point during this trip, but presumably you do at some point return to your, I imagine you guys have a nice suite at a hotel somewhere.
That or a very expensive Verbo, yeah.
Yeah. So I think
I'm coming in a little
you come
hangdog.
back and you're a little bit, hangdog, and she's just, oh my, are you all right? How did everything go? I mean, we don't seem to be overrun, so I guess
no real thanks to me. I didn't. My powers didn't really quite work as well as I hoped. Luckily, Mega Man and Micro Girl were there and solved the problem because I was not as effective as I could have been.
Oh, honey. Well,
And-
you want to talk about what happened?
Yeah, so I'll launch into the whole description of the fight. These mind worms blasting out of the desert, and I was set up to be able to blast him because I've got the big cosmic powers, and yeah, just spread and made the situation worse, and had to spend a couple more hours to actually clean it all up. And I feel guilty for letting even a temporary team down. They're not going to call me again anytime soon, that's for sure.
Well, I think that that would be foolish on their part. Because the truth is, honey, that you are out there trying, right? And not everything we try in life goes well, but it's a sign of character that you go out there and you try. You are out there trying to help people and not to, be like all of the others who just sit back and wait for others to help them. You're putting energy out into the world, and sure, maybe it's not going to go perfectly every time, but you're making an effort. You're doing things. You are working to make the world a better place, and that's important. And she's trying to raise your savior and lower your freak.
I'm gonna accept that change.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna go with that. I trust my mom. I'm a little vulnerable, so
Yeah.
that makes sense. I would go for that. So freak to 2, savior to 2. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Christiana,
Yeah.
the misses we get, do we get mark potential for those?
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime you do a roll, if it's a
Oh,
miss,
yeah.
then
Just
yeah.
want to make
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I have 5 potential. I have to take an advance at some point, but I'll worry about that when somebody else's turn.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, I think that you've made an appointment with Dr. Haversham for, let's say, the day after you're back from your trip.
Yep, that makes sense.
Okay, great. Okay, so we haven't heard from Vanguard yet, but I think it's actually ideal to save you for last, if that's all right. But Mayhem, you had a bit more.
I think she's talked to her boss,
Mhm.
Arthur,
Yeah.
and it's like, I know I tried to do
It's Austin,
more
I
of,
think, is what we had.
yeah,
in mind.
Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah, Austin. I know that I tried to do like some more specialist things, but I would really kind of like to feel like I'm not just a really dexterous bulldozer, you know? Um, could I talk to some of the guys about maybe getting some training in some more of the finessey parts of this business? Like we were trying to lay the things and I couldn't even do that. I'd really like to branch out away from just moving stuff.
So quick question. As we were just talking before the start of the stream, that Mayhem does in fact have a regular name. Do you think Austin calls you Mayhem, or what does he call you?
I think for the moment he calls her Mayhem because that's how she introduced
Sure,
herself.
yeah.
She doesn't feel like her old self, so she doesn't use her old name.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think it's an interesting, thing that it exists and it
Yeah.
might come up later.
Sure.
But
okay. So
yeah, he does. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you say all that. I think you're kind of sitting in the little like temporary construction trailer that's set up, to one side of whatever site you're on at the moment, and he listens to all of that with a thoughtful expression, and he just says, Mayhem, I have to first say it feels like I'm very glad you were willing to come to me with this sort of request. The truth is that although obviously you are very strong and very gifted physically, and that lets you do a lot of things that the other guys can't do, and I thought that was just what you wanted, but honestly, to have you showing an interest in developing some skills outside of your natural or supernatural, I guess, uh, strengths. Honestly, I'm very happy to hear it. And so, yeah, I mean, are you thinking you'd be like interested in like learning some welding or maybe some like fine detail work, like on some of the interiors and finishing and so on? Like what are you thinking?
I'm I'd be interested in starting on welding, and if I can, you know, get skilled in that, maybe branching out into other stuff. Maybe get, a maybe go to like a trade school eventually to like learn like electrician stuff,
Wow.
plumbing stuff. I This is important to me.
I, I'm really glad to hear you say that, just because it's important to me too, and I want to say that I can just imagine that there's going to be a lot of people out there who will give you pushback on that. Like, why would you want to look into these sorts of skills when you have these other abilities? Like, and people just assume that just because you are naturally good at something, that means that's all you can do.
Hmm.
And I know that's not true about you, and I'm glad you know that too. And so, absolutely, we can get you started. Honestly, uh, the the Red Flash, right?
Yeah.
He's famous for doing those I-beam welds.
Yeah.
He didn't know how to just do that. He had the I-beams, but he kept burning holes and stuff,
Yeah.
right? Learning things can often come in handy even when you don't expect it. And so I would be absolutely happy to let's get you started on some of the welding kit. Uh, to start with, obviously, we can only have properly trained, certified welds on the site, but we can have you shadow some of the guys doing it and have you set up on some training stuff. Obviously, I want to support this. So I think this is fantastic, and I thanks for feeling like you could come to me with this, and I'm going to try to make that happen for you. And he is actually also in encouraging this, going to try to lower lower your danger and increase your mundane.
She'll allow it.
Hmm.
She'll allow it. The her danger can be easily pushed back up. But yeah, but just so y'all know, she's at 2 danger, freak, savior, and superior all at 0, and now mundane is at 1. So
Yeah, I was saying welding would be a great skill for Mayhem to know, because her invulnerability is just real good for if there's an accident.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that's actually I kind of teared up through that conversation.
Aw.
That was awesome. So all the props in the world to our GM.
Aw, shucks. So I think uh, we have Vanguard. So Vanguard, you obviously have a move that you do as well when time passes. But what do you think you've been doing with the time passing so far?
So it's kind of been a mixed bag for Vanguard, right? Like he kind of did something very immature with very sensitive information due to prodding of his wonderful friend Flair that somehow got them a cake from one of the most notorious Ninja Kitchen assassins, Le Chef, and the daughter of one of the most notorious villains in the history of the city. But the Harbor Kids have also done really cool stuff. Like they've stopped an underwater human eating restaurant. They stopped the zoo crew. And they stopped the cruise ship. They've had a string of solid successes. So
Mhm.
he's been basically, his grandpa was like, "You've been doing good, kid, but you're not off the hook." So he's been kind of keeping him under his wing for this whole time. So you've been seeing a lot of like pressers, and he's been kind of like there, and he's been like in a suit. Some of these things he
Well,
looks
so
uncomfortable
let's
with.
do the role then
Yeah.
first, just so we can use that to kind of guide how some of that part's going. So you, of course, with your legacy move, roll plus savior to see how the members of your legacy are feeling about your current exploits.
Indeed.
Look at that, a 12 full hit. So I think that, yeah, you know, right now, like you said, you've been kind of on a string of, you know, you have been getting some wins in for sure. And I think increasingly, although he's not said it like very directly, you're getting a feeling of Gunpowder Guardian, despite his often feeling like the way you choose to do things isn't the way he would choose to do them, that he is increasingly seeing you getting good results regardless and understanding that, you know what, you got to let the new generation do things their way. You can't just force them to do, you know, you have to let them do things the way that they can do them and not assume that everyone needs to do things the same. And you're seeing sort of you know, when you make your little your little jokes or whatever in conversation, like you see a little bit more of like, I don't even want to just say tolerance of them, but like acceptance of it, and less of a like grumbling, like, oh, these kids
Yeah.
today, that sort of thing.
It's more eye rolling than grumping now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I think,
him.
yeah, and so you're and we're and so Shotgun Arcana, I think, has also increasingly been like calling you in on stuff. You know, like when there doesn't seem to be anything, you know, you're not otherwise busy. There's been a couple of times when she's kind of brought you in for like a quick team up and stuff.
Yeah, but also like, you know, because it's funny that there was a mention of a symbol for the Harbor Kids,
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, when he's gone on some of these team ups, you know, they ask him like, so like, when are you, the Harbor Kids, you know, going to make their official, you know, city debut as a hero team? Who's the strongest Harbor Kid? Um, are you better than your grandpa now? You know, weird stuff like that, you know, because they're doing better. And I realized he was kind of the leader on more of the things than on two of the three. So like he's kind of gotten a little shine in that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so even ask him like, are you better than your cousin now? Are you on that level? Or, like, are you work? And so he's like been finding it more and more uncomfortable, like to try to be normal. So his because his mundane is now -2.
Oh, wow.
So you see him like when he's been like more and more, he's like in the suit more, his costume more and more often,
Mm-hmm,
less,
mm-hmm.
less and less this sort of like average teenager. But he seems to be enjoying it. Although when you guys finally get back to the place, I promise you he's gonna be crashed out on the couch. But also he's actually been making some connections with other heroes in the city, and he's gotten some equipment, some stuff, and so there he is. So once we return to the our little hideout, he's been bringing some stuff in. We've actually got some stuff, not a lot. Like we do have a couch now,
Yeah.
and like,
Nice.
you know, and there's like we fixed up some of the damage from you guys conversation.
All right.
Yeah.
I think that there is a couple of days after the incident with the lobsterman, there is a sort of a hiccup in your sort of reputation, because you do become aware that a video has been gone viral on social media, and it is a video of Chadwick who you rescued on social media, and it's like, yo, it's your boy Chadwick. You know, I normally try to keep the two Tre Positivo, but here's a call out. I don't know if you've heard of them yet. I sure hadn't, but there's some group of so-called heroes out there called the Harbor Kids, and they've just totally made bozos of themselves. So there I am checking out this cool new pop-up dining experience, and then these clowns come barging in without a res and immediately start wrecking the place. And so he's got this has kind of gone viral, and a lot of people are watching it. But you've had, I think, as a part of this going so well, and your connection with the Guardians right now, having this positive press going out there, you're getting this is not just turned the tide against you, but at the same time, it seems like he's getting a lot of attention. And you suspect that although this is not turning the city against you, that he does seem to be having a lot of people follow what he's saying.
I think we made ourselves an arch nemesis, guys.
We've made ourselves an enemy for certain.
Indeed.
We already had an arch nemesis. Those little punks. Those little punks are more annoying than this guy.
Hey, now to be fair, we did talk that one guy into helping the city now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think this might be something that is a little more
So I
Simple.
think given how well connected Flair is right now, he might be the one who actually lets the rest of the party know about this. Gets them ahead of it a little earlier than they would ordinarily.
You saw some
out.
people maybe on campus watching the video or something.
So I'm on the campus, or else maybe it's going around the newsroom.
I think Sunglass actually tells you, Flair, that this is not something you should see as a problem. It is a natural consequence of your profile being raised.
Okay. Because Flair's initial reaction was going to be, "Oh, we have to do something about this." But he's going to listen to Sunglass on this regard and relay that advice to the rest of the people.
Yeah, so
people are paying attention to us now. That's a good thing.
So I think Sunglass says this guy feeds on attention. The last thing you want to do is confront him. That is exactly what he wants you to do. You can bet that whatever your confrontation of him became, a heavily edited version would become his next viral video. So in any case, that's kind of going on in the background a little bit. But Vanguard, you have, things have been going relatively well, but you are aware nonetheless that you've had kind of a couple of times in the last few days where you have woken up from a nightmare of some kind and you're not still kind of fully remembering them. But as we cut to you now, we're cutting to you in the middle of one of these nightmares, and it is a nightmare of the fight with Reaper, that last one. And at least in this moment, in the dream, and this is the dream version of it, so it doesn't necessarily have to be the exact way that it happened. But things seem to be going terribly. Tell us a little bit about what is happening in this battle right now. Oh, you're muted, Jason. Yeah.
He was the turncoat, correct? Yes. They're basically they're being overrun in in this last big battle, and so he does
So
some.
when you say overrun, does Reaper have like minions or
Yes.
like okay.
He's more of a he's like kind of like a techier guy, so they're like little crustacean like robots, kind of
Okay,
like
sure.
well, like kind of like Baxter Stockman's Mousers.
Okay, yeah, great.
And he's basically overrunning the Mystic Marksman. Like,
All right.
and for Vanguard, because is he in the battle or is he Reaper in this dream?
Well, no, I'm not saying you are Reaper. I'm saying that you are in the fight with Reaper in the dream. You are in the fight, but it's going terribly. And so, like I said, this is a nightmare of the battle as opposed to what quote unquote really happened, right? So I'm giving you like license to sort of tell us like what are the most traumatic parts of this as you remember them, that sort of thing.
Oh, for him, definitely. It was they were getting overrun, and he wanted to help, like the rest of the Mystic Marksmen, right? They all have a signature, they all have a move, and he couldn't do it. And it ended up getting his in this dream. It got his parents killed, but in reality, it's because they are gone somewhere else. But it's a nightmare, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, throughout the dream, one by one, the Mystic Marksmen keep getting picked off, and he keeps trying to help them using the move. He's like, "Why can't I do like they do?" Until eventually, it's down to him, and he's just overrun by a swarm of these minions. As Reaper then wins, and he wakes up.
So as you wake up in your bed at the headquarters, you sit up and you sit up like alarmed, like sweaty, breathing hard, heart pounding. And as you open your eyes, you can see sitting on the corner of your bed is one of these little robot minions. And then as you look at it, it sort of immediately hops off the corner of the bed. It's like scuttles into the darkness, and you've lost sight of it. You're muted again.
Yeah, he's muting out all the cuss words.
Because it's one of those moments, right? It's like where you're sitting or you like you stare at it. He's like staring at it, and until it moves, he's like, "Am I still dreaming? Like, what is?" And then it moves, and it's like that realization where like you feel the weight of it's off the bed now, and like I was like, and then he definitely burst through his door yelling for you guys. He definitely almost takes it off the hinges. Because he's kind of frantic because now he's like, where is it? And he's running around trying to find it. And he's not being quiet. So if you guys are there, he's being very, very loud and he's yelling actively.
So who is at the headquarters? This is like we're caught up now from this couple of days period. So who's here tonight?
Yeah, Mayhem definitely is.
Blair's not. Blair's so busy.
Antares is there. It's a weekend.
I mean, he's usually got his phone with him, but that being said, he can usually get to where he needs to be pretty quick. So.
All right. So who's waking up? Who's coming to Vanguard's alarm here?
Definitely Mayhem.
Definitely Antares.
Not Curie.
Not Curie? What?
Yeah, Curie is at her dad with her with her dad.
Oh,
Sure.
So you get the two bruisers to come to help Vanguard.
Absolutely. Let's do it. When he sees you guys come in, he's like, there was he's like, something was watching me on my bed. It just ran out here. And he's like literally lifting up like things, like looking around. He's like, he's like he's like it's about this big, and he's like about the size of like a basketball.
Yeah, metal or organic?
Kind of both. It's weird. It was one of Reaper's minions, and I know that sounds crazy,
That does sound crazy.
but
Let's go find it.
it definitely was.
Yeah. Mayhem absolutely believes you. Which way did it go? Which way did it scuttle?
It darted off into the shadows. I don't know if it shouldn't have gotten to be able to get far, because I don't see any like.
Yeah. So yeah, when it jumped off of your bed, it was out of your line of sight pretty quickly. And then I think as soon as you like got out of bed, you just basically couldn't see where it had gone, and you called for help like right away rather than
Yeah.
looking more fully. So what's the plan now? Someone
Just,
going to investigate, I guess, or assess
yeah.
the situation.
I'll play guard the door. You investigate. Close the door and stand in front of it. So if it tries to get out that way,
Well, it might already be out. Is the
it
thing.
might, but it might not. Yeah, I mean, if it's the size of a basketball, it's going to take some effort to get out of any exit. It can't just unless it can do some
Yeah.
sort of molding thing.
So that's assess situation superior, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So when someone assesses the situation, roll plus superior, and obviously, you have one team to start any given session, and
Yep.
so if someone wanted to help, you could use that one. This is not a battle, so we're not doing that move yet.
I think
Yeah.
I think it makes sense for Mayhem to help. Don't you think?
Oh yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
you can see how the
Yeah.
roll goes first.
Yeah,
What
that's
are
true.
yeah? Blah, blah, blah. Are you better superior than me, or are we both at 0?
We're both at 0.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
I got superior 1. Am I? Now, how did that work? I'm the best of the superiors. Maybe I
Yeah.
should look.
Yeah. You
I'll look at.
assess.
I'll
You
assess.
assess.
Oh dear God, this
Yeah.
is going to go so well. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, worst comes to worst, we'll just blow up the entire place. We have to. We'll at least know we got it that way.
Yeah, we'll nuke it from orbit. That's the only way to be sure.
Exactly.
And you're the one to do it.
I'm the one to
Definitely a
do it. I got
proportional response to waking up from a nightmare and seeing a thing that you can't find now. All right, so that is
Blair
a
comes back to
7.
a
That's
smoking
hit.
crater.
Just for you all to know, I have now just put on the little stream window here a little thing that shows these hits, just because I was realizing those look cool in the Roll20 implementation. I like the little comic panel.
Oh, yeah.
version. So in any case, 7 is a hit, so that means you are able to ask one of the assess the
5.
situation questions.
I think I'm going to go with how could we best end this quickly?
Well, I think in this context, I mean,
Yeah.
I think that you are not able to establish exactly what happened, or if there was something here, where did it go? But I think you are able, as sort of a group looking around, to come to a pretty quick conclusion that if there was something here, it is gone now.
Okay, that-
You don't think that there is anything still hiding in the headquarters.
That's an answer.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think you pretty thoroughly sort of do a full check of everything in the system, and you're double checking. You're not only because, your headquarters has some security, but like if it didn't give an alarm before, maybe these things have a way to bypass it. So you're like double checking it, and you're looking in all the corners. You're looking for any little hidden tunnels. You're looking for any little things that might be invisible or cloaked. You're doing a pretty thorough, bug check, so to speak, and you don't find anything.
Vanguard's like, dude,
You honestly don't find any evidence that there was something, but you
Yeah.
are pretty confident that there is not anything now.
Vanguard's just like, I don't know, man. It was as I promise you, it wasn't a dream. He's like, and honestly, I would say it was stress, but honestly, things have been going pretty good.
Yeah. No, I 100% believe that you saw what you saw and it was there. I 100% believe that.
He's like, and he's like, the worst part about it is like, if that's a Reaper minion, that's
Mhm.
not good. Like, that's not good at all. Because he was very powerful before. And so if he's scoping around, I don't know what has gotten me onto his radar, but he's like,
I don't know that I would want to have a supervillain of his caliber influenced by a shallow internet influencer
Well,
whose
so
name is actually Chad.
one thing that I want to kind of just toss out here a little bit because I want some broader context. Um, so, Vanguard, are you being honest when you say you don't know why you would be on Reaper's radar?
Mhm.
I mean,
You don't have to tell your friends that what you said can be what you said, what Vanguard says to them. But you and I know that there's more to it.
yes.
So I'm just wanting to clarify if that's the idea, in case there's not confusion or something.
He wouldn't know. He wouldn't necessarily say it just yet, because for
Mhm,
him,
mhm.
for him, it still would. He would not know why it would be him. It would definitely have to. He thought it would be more if he ever popped back
Okay.
up, it would be his grandpa
All
or
right, sure.
someone, because he's he wasn't even really there, so to speak. Like he wasn't like an influential part in it. Like he wasn't. I'm saying he was
Yeah.
younger
Mhm.
ish. So like and plus he's like in it, it's like maybe I was dreaming, maybe I just, I've had this nightmare a couple times, like maybe I'm just letting it get to me, maybe it is stress, so he's like, so
Mhm.
he's not wanting to necessarily believe just yet that it could be him, but it was to him too real to just ignore. That
Mhm.
he
Yeah,
wasn't going to go back to sleep,
yeah.
like, oh,
Well,
cool.
yeah. Well, we can always, look into getting some upgrades on the security. Maybe we can, do stuff. Um,
He's like, yeah, and he's like, and honestly, I'll have to ask Grandpa, like, if, like, honestly, like, what he doesn't really talk about it a lot,
But
right? But my grandpa's also not a very talkative person, so
I noticed. This is why we went
yeah.
to the whole rigmarole with the cake, after all.
he's also not very.
Well,
To be
that
fair,
was
he's not. He's not a very good. He's not a very good sport either. So
yeah. Well, no, I think this is the kind of thing that he would want you to come to him and be honest about. I mean, that's this is definitely the kind of thing I know that I would go to Nona Olivia about.
I mean, this is a bigger problem than just you, if you think about
Yeah.
true.
it. This is a quantum level above a a, a moderate villain attacking the Harvey kids.
True. And to be fair, and now I was gonna say on the good side, it wasn't. I didn't see it glowing purple in any way. So
We've had way too much of the color purple. And I don't mean the Prince song either
Yeah.
lately.
Mayhem looks down at her purple pajamas and we're like, I'll take that as my sign to exit out the room.
Guys, you can at least
right.
laugh about this.
Yeah.
Sorry about waking you guys up, but and he doesn't go back to his room. He kind of chills out in the common area, kind of on the couch, just kind of quietly
Yeah.
thinking.
Mhm.
I'm still jet lagged, so don't mind me.
And Tari's face or slumps into a chair nearby and just starts snoring.
Mhm.
Yeah, not enough caffeine tomorrow morning. There will not be enough
Mm.
caffeine.
Yeah.
So, do you go back
So
to sleep, Vanguard?
No, not tonight. He
Okay.
Yeah, and it's kind of been this pattern since after the first one. Like the first time the nightmare happened, he was like, "Oh, it's whatever." Goes, just goes back to sleep. But then it happens again. Now this time, and now you think he saw one of the things. So he's kind of just on edge a little bit. So he's really is just kind of up, not really like doing anything, just kind of like, just like that was really, really weird and way too real to be fake, like he's just kind of confused. And he's also debating on calling his grandpa, but he's like, man, it is way too late early for that.
So what do you think would be public knowledge about that fight when it really happened?
That basically in the end, one of the mystic marksmen fell in the defeating of Reaper. There was a lot of collateral damage, civilian casualties, but they tried to minimize that, and also the details of how the actual loss of one of their number went versus how they defeated the guy. Like it was kind of like, yeah, it was tragic, we all did what we could do, but they laid down ultimately to save us all, blah blah blah.
Well, so part of what I'm trying to draw out here is who is the marksman that fell?
It was to be fair, it was the rifle revenant that fell, but that's because, and I'll tell the players here, the reason why they're covering it up is because he betrayed the marksman.
Well, so you didn't need to. So you don't need to get into that part of it unless you want to. I was just saying, is this a person who has a connection to Vanguard?
Very much so.
Well, that's the part that I was trying to get you to say.
Oh, that. Well, yeah. I won't say who that person is, but yes, very much so connected to Vanguard.
Well, so I guess what I'm saying is like, is it not publicly known who the person is who died and who their connection is to you? Is that not known? That's something
No.
I assumed would be public knowledge. How would it not be? And
Yeah.
I'm fine with it not being. I guess I'm not sure if a superhero died in a fight with a supervillain.
Yes,
would people know that?
Yeah, it's known that he was related to Vanguard, and that's why they had the Revenant was, but they do not know the details of how he fell. They just know it was that. And to be fair, they've because he was so young at the time, they don't really ask him about it, right? Like they do. And to be fair, his grandpa has also tried to shield him from it a little bit, like taking more of the serious questions about it, or kind of deflecting.
Because I feel like you as a player are deflecting on some of this now, which is I'm surprised by. I felt like it felt like you were more ready to spill the part that's supposed to be the deep dark secret than the part that should have been like everybody knows.
No. Sorry. But no, and that's fine. And it's because again, because
you're a part of this legacy, right? People know
right,
the connections between
it's a
the
family
marksmen.
thing. It's a family thing.
That's why I was like not sure why you were being so cagey about that part of it.
Yeah, and it's not his pops. It was his uncle. It's kind of like a. Matter of fact, it was, to be fair.
No comic book heroes have specific connections to their uncles. That's just not a thing, right?
Yeah, never
any uncles in superhero stories.
Yeah, and to be fair, that was his cousin's pop. So that's one of the reasons why they kind of have a rough.
So Shotgun Arcana's dad.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's kind of why they have a rough go of it. Not necessarily they blamed him.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, loss of a hero. So, okay. So I guess that's part of what I just, context for everybody else, because, you and I have worked on some stuff related to that as backstory, but what would the other characters know is why I wanted to talk through some of that.
Yeah.
All right.
I could see it being one of those things that if someone knows where to look, they could figure out Rifle Revenant is in this place on the family tree, but not very many people are that
Yeah.
interested.
See, like I was going to say, my assumption had been that those sorts of connections were like public and everybody knows
Yes.
them.
Yeah, because again, it's kind of their part of their brand, right?
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, that's absolutely fine. And it's just
It's
one
kind
of
of
those.
like people know that the Human Torch is Sue Storm's brother, right?
Yeah,
Like stuff like that. If it's a family
absolutely.
team of superheroes, it's
And
so
same
that's
thing
why I
with,
was surprised to have to kind of draw that out of
oh
you.
no, yeah. No, and also like it's one of those things. It's one of those things, like I said, like they would kind of know that everyone kind of knows it's not a sensitive subject, but it's not something that like the most famous superhero team gets asked about a lot because
Sure.
it's kind of the
Well,
like
I mean,
one.
we could imagine it's a painful topic, right?
Yeah, and also it's kind of the one like kind of mark against them, right? Like not necessarily that it was a mark against them, but it's like the one standout in their kind of history that is like not in.
It was a notable time when they went up against a big supervillain and it technically succeeded, but at a dreadful cost.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So, in any case, the dark of the night eventually does pass, and so in the morning, I think this is the day of Antares. You've got your appointment, and I don't know, Vanguard. Were you gonna try to go talk to your grandfather?
Yes.
Right. I think also, obviously, we don't have Millie here, but as we've kind of decided, I think Ilanil has been kind of in a extended meditation, trying to glean the whereabouts of the Colonel and see if she can figure out what her father's plans are.
Yeah. Makes sense to me.
All right.
Yep.
I think Kiri gets on the comm and asks the teams like, so any plans for the day?
Yeah, there's something I need to do. See you later.
Oh, okay.
I have still not told. Wait a minute. They've gotten the letter by now, haven't they?
Well,
that letter
unless
is
you
still-
intercepted it.
No, I
because
didn't
obviously-
intercept it.
So,
Yeah.
well, okay. So if you did not, then
yeah.
who would have checked the mail at the headquarters and received a letter from Antares saying that if he doesn't come back, he went to this science lab?
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
I
And
think
if Antares forgot when he did come back to stop that letter.
I did stop. I did forget to
Yeah.
stop that letter.
I
So
like
Claire forgot, so
Okay.
Antares forgot.
I think Curie got it. I think
Yeah.
Curie got the letter.
and Kiri would have gotten on the comms, direct like one-on-one comms with Antares, and asked about it. So
I came back. It's all fine. But keep it
Okay.
in mind if I don't come back some day.
Okay. Okay. So you think this person you're seeing is on the up and up?
So far.
Okay. Well, you got your comms if need.
Maybe.
Hopefully.
Hence the letter. Atari's out.
And
Just-
she just takes the letter and just kind of puts it near her bed, so she'll be able to find it again if need be.
Now, are you going to tell the rest of the team this conversation? I'm not. The question is Curie.
Did you say anything to suggest to do so or not?
I didn't say one way or the other.
I think Kiri's gonna keep it for now.
This can't go wrong.
Oh, this is. Oh.
Ah,
Oh.
I'm setting up drama.
You said it out loud.
Yeah, I know. It's good to offer things to the mighty GM sometimes.
Sure. So I think you do make your way to your appointment at Haversham Laboratories. I think that's what it was called.
Yep,
right?
Haversham Laboratories.
Yeah. And I think, you are greeted there by, first the receptionist, and then Dr. Havisham comes out, and she just says, it's so good to see you. You gave her just Antares, right? She wasn't calling you by your regular name.
Right, she knows it, but yeah, I just gave it to say we use
But you
Antares. Yeah.
indicated that's what she should call you.
Right.
Yeah. So Antares, I'm so glad to see you. I had worried that I'd come on a little strong in our last meeting, and I
Maybe
I
maybe
hope
a
that I
bit,
hadn't. I do
but
apologize.
I am back, so it's like you didn't drive me away completely, Doctor.
I'm so glad to hear that. I was just so excited at the prospect of having someone such as yourself to begin our studies with, and I do realize that these are very personal concerns for you, and I don't want to diminish that. And so please do let me know if you ever feel uncomfortable with any of the tests we're doing.
All right, that's fine.
Okay.
What's up? How do we start?
So I think that to begin, she just wants you. She has like a chair prepared, and there's basically just a whole bunch of like little sensors that she kind of wants to put all over you. Just little EKG style
Yeah,
things.
good
And she
baseline.
says, "Yes, this is all just sort of to examine your vitals and your energies in a resting state, and then of course to attempt to generate a little bit of your energy, or however your powers express, and to just measure the differences and see where it is expressed, and of what variety of energy is expressed, and perhaps if you you are more familiar with your powers than I, so you can lead the way in some ways of expressing these powers, and letting us know if there's any other precautions we need to take. But getting these initial measurements is what we would want to start with.
All right, that sounds relatively mild enough, so let's do that.
Yeah. And so I think that if all you're doing is just trying to like create a little heat, create a little glow, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
we don't
yeah, a
necess-
little,
yeah,
a little bit of
we don't
a little bit of
necessarily
cosmic power. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't necessarily need to do any like rolls for that part of it. But I think that what you are you can tell me how you feel about this, but I think that what her equipment is able to do in a way that you've probably never experienced before is to really sort of quantify what it is that's happening when you use your powers. And what she can talk about, like, here's the different frequencies being generated, and here's the type of energy being generated, and it's coming actually, like, it's starting kind of in your chest, and so when you have it coming out of your hands, it's still starting in your chest, traveling down your arms, and so she's able to like show you these little computer models and visualizations of that sort of stuff happening, and give you like quantifiable data in something that has always just been very subjective for you.
Very subjective and kind of like, by trial and error. But now
Yeah.
these things are kind of helping me.
And I think that
Arrange these things.
after a couple of little bit of like a little bit of experimentation, she her equipment registers that you have given off a couple of different kinds of energy in a couple of different ways, and just with experimentation, I think you are able to find, with the feedback her equipment is providing, that you are able to kind of control the output in a way that you weren't always confident in before, because you're getting this direct feedback.
Okay. So I will kind of experiment a little, add a little more, try to feel my way into more controlled burns, as it were. Not that's a burn, but we're not going to burn level. That's
Yeah.
I explain that. Well, that's
Sure.
that's when I kind of go Jean Grey Phoenix, and we're not going to do that just yet.
Well, certainly, I would never ask you. We are already getting a lot of good data here, and so certainly we can take things slow. There's no need to to go off the bat right away. After all, we also want to ensure that we are able to keep everything under control within the scientific environment, and so
And not
starting
mean to blow
small
up your
is
lab.
absolutely the way to do it. But we're getting excellent results here, I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the studies we're doing. But right now, these measurements are quite extraordinary, and I am so glad that you have been willing to participate here. And I think as part of this, her just like, you are using your powers and seeing like the direct results of them in a very sort of specific, measured way that you're not used to. And she is so obviously excited and pleased by the results of this that I think what's kind of happening is an attempt to raise your freak and lower your mundane, just specifically because there's so much interest and excitement in this specific, your ability to express these powers and so on.
I'll accept that for the moment. So
Yeah.
That puts my mundane at -3 and my freak at 3. Wow. I am really unbalanced at the moment.
Hey, but to be fair, it can't go any lower than 3.
No, but yeah, but I am, I mean, if not for that savior, but I'd be really, with Mom, I'd be really, weirdly balanced. But yeah,
Oh,
but I'm very
that happens
unmundane.
sometimes, right?
I'm very unmundane at the moment. I'm very cosmically powered.
All right.
This won't go bad at all.
So I think that you've been there for like a couple of hours and you've done these tests, and she just says, this has been truly wonderful, and I have in mind a couple of new experiments we can do for the next time you are available, but it will take us a little time to rig them up, so to speak. But I think that we may be able to see if we can successfully store some of the energy that you express.
Like a capacitor.
Yes,
Or
indeed.
a battery.
Correct.
Okay. 3 weeks then? Weeks,
Well,
3 weeks?
I'll be in touch. It may be less. We'll have to do some trial and error.
Got it. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And I will happily go back to headquarters a little happier at the moment, although I am afraid, angry, guilty, and insecure. I'm not hopeless.
Well, so are you expressing any of that? Are you acting? Remember, there are ways that you can clear some of those things.
Right. Let's
now,
see
I
that.
know that your powers are kind of powered by having those, so maybe you
Right,
are
but I'm at 4 or 5, and one knocks me out. So,
well, right. And so I was just going to say, everyone do remember that, like, there's the comfort or support that you can do for someone else, but you can also take actions to clear labels. And when you're not in combat, the fact that it doesn't clear until the end of the scene is fine.
Right. Let's see. Run from something difficult. I'm not doing that. I'm not hurting something, breaking something important. I'm not guilty. I'm not making a sacrifice to absolve my guilt. Insecure. Take foolhardy action. See, I'm not really doing any of that.
And that's fine. I'm not telling you to do it now.
No,
I'm just saying
but
that,
yeah,
like,
this
if
is
you
because
are
we're-
ever feeling like, oh gosh, I got to clear some of these conditions,
Yeah.
do remember that you have those options available to you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And-
Okay.
And that's part of
You
the
can
drama
always ask
engine that
Carrie.
fuels the game, right? So,
Right.
yeah.
What was it? What was that, Doug?
Oh, you're
You
muted.
can always
also.
ask Kiri to help.
Speaking of
That's
which,
true.
I have
Speaking of which.
two things
Yeah,
on my checklist.
sure.
First of all, does anyone wonder why Flair didn't respond to the emergency beacon?
Yes.
If someone tells Kiri about it, which I don't know if anybody has, and mentions Flair not being there,
Well, Kiri didn't
will-
respond either, so
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, if someone shares it with her and mentions,
Well, so I
Flair-
guess if this went out on the emergency beacon as opposed to Vanguard just yelling to everybody who's there in the headquarters.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
Vanguard, what did you do? Did you send this out to everybody, or were you just yelling for people there in the headquarters?
Yeah, I was yelling in the
okay.
in the headquarters, but I can use the thing too, because like
No,
No.
don't do it because I'm
Oh, no, no, no.
asking.
Yeah, he was
If
just yelling.
if what
That's
you
fine.
did was shout, then
He
of
was yelling,
course
yeah.
Claire wouldn't have been aware.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And that's what I wanted to know. That's what I wanted to know. Yeah. eh, but speaking of clearing conditions,
Mhm.
uh, Flair has had the hopeless condition for a while now.
Mhm.
And I'd like to clear that. So he's going to uh, figure out a way to clear his schedule for an evening,
Mhm.
maybe putting off some homework that he can do later, um, to ask Aurelia on a date. And because his
Aw.
idea of what a date is dated, he's going to ask her to dinner and a movie. Um, and uh, and
Yeah.
uh, and he doesn't know a lot about her, so he's gonna try to pierce the mask to figure out what kind of movie she would like.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Let's see. So the pierce the mask move is you're rolling plus mundane.
And the questions aren't really particular, but I think,
Sure.
you
I
know,
mean, I think the questions there are actually kind of generic enough that I think they line up to what
yeah.
you might ask someone on a
How
date.
can I get your
Anyway.
character to enjoy the movie I picked?
Yeah.
You
No,
know?
exactly. Yeah. Right.
Okay. Hey, that's a hit.
And eight. So
Okay,
yeah,
that's enough
you're able to ask one of the
to ask
questions.
one, and that's going to
Mhm.
be, yeah.
Um. Okay. So is that the question? Is how do I get the character? So you're trying to intuit what kind of movie, or even just the
Yeah,
broader, like what kind of date would they want?
and it's like, and it's he's trying to be like, in their interactions at school,
Mm-hmm.
try to kind of feel her out that way because he's planning that,
Mm-hmm.
and he's probably not half as subtle as he thinks he is. But clearly it worked.
Sure. So there is a scene in Xanadu that is, in a very silly
Uh-huh.
movie, one of the sillier scenes, which is that this record company where this character works as a painter who paints big versions of album covers for murals. That's his job, right?
Yeah.
And he works for a record company, and at one point he's trying to impress Olivia Newton-John, who's actually a mythological muse. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he knows that quite. But the point is, he takes her to what is effectively a holodeck, which apparently, as explained in the movie, is something the studio has in order to inspire the artists. And they roller skate around in this like thing that's able to recreate like beach scenes and stuff like that, even though they also live in a beach community. Um, it
I don't remember that
oh,
scene. I
it's
saw the movie years ago, but
I unironically adore that movie. Anyway, uh, it's very silly, but I just that came to mind partly because I think in talking to Aurelia and just like the conversations that you've had with her, especially in moments when you're not both having to work too hard to maintain the secret identity, right? You know, when you're
right,
able to
right, right.
sort of be yourselves a little bit more and not have
Mhm.
to be these humans that you're
Right,
pretending
right.
to be, right? You get the impression that although she doesn't seem to have any problem or difficulty impersonating a human in this way,
Mhm.
that what she likes about you is
Mhm.
that you understand what it's like to be an alien among humans.
Okay.
And even though your variety of alien is not identical to her variety of alien, there is that sort of, she connects with you on that fellow outsider sort of thing.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
And that both of you pretending to be a human and going to school, she sees it more like a game you're playing. As
okay.
and not that she doesn't think you're taking it seriously, but like she sees it more as like it's a pastime. And that
Okay.
she is enjoying doing it with you, especially because for her it feels a little bit like you're playing secret agent, right?
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that Flair feels entirely that way, but
Oh, sure.
but that's definitely a part of why he's doing this.
Right. And
He
so
just he just, likes humans and
Yeah.
just wants to be around them more.
Well, so, and
And
I think that she seems like she likes that about you without necessarily quite feeling
Aw.
the same way.
okay.
Like
We
she
don't have
wants,
the same attitude, but the attitudes are compatible.
yeah, so she likes that you like it.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think you get a little bit of a feeling that she's got an element of loneliness, homesickness to her
Okay.
that Flair doesn't seem to have really.
Mm. Mhm. Mhm.
And she is not like sad about it, but she
Right.
does miss home.
Mm.
And so you think that a way to this ties back to my I thought about the Xanadu holodeck scene
Yeah.
where if you had a way to sort of make it seem even in a temporarily sort of playful kind of half-assed fun way to
Mhm.
kind of like give her a little taste of what it's like back home, that sort of thing, you think she would really
Okay.
enjoy that.
Okay.
Like, obviously
Okay.
if you were able to take her to a Jovian restaurant or something, which I don't know that actually exists in Halcyon City
Yeah.
necessarily, because they have mostly made contact with the undersea civilizations so far. But
Right.
but
But okay,
Lost bit.
but undersea stuff is what she
Mhm.
likes.
well,
So
she is most comfortable down there.
right. So a visit to the Halcyon City Aquarium where they
Mhm.
have one of these big pools with a tunnel underneath that allows you to
Mhm.
see all the stuff in the aquarium.
Yeah.
It's not under the water, but it's
Mhm.
more so than, it's a place to go, and she would feel she would might she would, even if she doesn't feel at home there, she would
Mhm.
recognize it as an attempt to
Yeah.
do that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So yeah, and I would like to clear Hopeless for fling yourself into easy relief.
Yeah, nice. And I think have you let any of your teammates know kind of why you've been spending so much time away recently?
Um, uh, um,
Because it's
you
not just with
see,
her; it's the other stuff too, right?
yeah. Oh yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going
You've
on.
been very busy.
Mhm.
I think I think he's having fun with the whole secret identity thing,
Mm-hmm.
and like superheroes don't just tell anybody on either side. Like they don't the
Sure.
superheroes don't tell the superhero identity, other
Mhm.
superhero identities, what their mundane identities are, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So yeah, he has not told anybody.
Okay. So I think
So yeah,
the
so it is
whole
something of a
reason
mystery
to
where he's been,
engage with
because he
this.
used to be,
Yeah.
he very, at before his defeat
Mm-hmm.
by the crabs thing in Under the Water, he was at headquarters all the time.
Yeah.
That was just like where he hung out.
Mm-hmm.
And then after this, he's suddenly hardly ever there.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
have you said
Curie
anything at
has
all about that?
absolutely
Yeah.
noticed.
Yeah.
Curie has
Um,
absolutely noticed, though, is that maybe not saying anything, maybe just like, I, you know, looking at you a little curiously every when you are around.
yeah,
But
and when he is, it's like to pick something up that he forgot he left behind there.
Mhm.
Like, oh, I left my 8 tracks here. I gotta get them,
hmm, Yeah, I think Kiri would go to a.
So okay,
Good.
so if you want to play that scene, yeah, Flair shows up at the headquarters, goes over to his area, what have
Yeah.
you, and pokes around for a little bit, pulls out a box, and looks like he's heading out again.
Claire. Huh. Nice to see
Yeah,
you.
yeah, good to see you too.
Yeah, you haven't been around much, which is
I've been
real
busy.
unusual for you.
You know how it is.
Really? Hmm. If you need to talk, I'm
No, everything's under control.
okay. Well, I'm always open to listen.
Oh yeah, I like that about you.
Okay.
Is this something where you would be wanting to pierce the mask, Kiri?
Yes, I think I would.
Alright. So let's get a
And let's
plus
see.
mundane.
I have influence in yeah. Uh Having influence adds allows me to add one plus
Yeah.
one to it, right?
Mhm.
Okay. A
Okay,
9.
That's a 9. So you are able to ask one of those questions.
Okay.
What are you really planning?
How
What do you
can I
want?
get
Yeah.
your how can I get your character to be more open about what's going on?
That's a tough question.
I think in this case, because we're between PCs, I think it could be allowed to have a brief out of character sort of conversation about
Yeah.
that too. If there was something like, I really want to sort of save this sort of reveal for later or something like that would be
Yeah.
allowed.
I think um I think the answer would be to be more open and sharing about yourself.
Okay. Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of like, well, duh, pop psych,
Yeah.
but at
Yeah.
the same time,
Okay.
it's also true.
I can work that into
See,
future.
if you had asked one of the other questions, like, what are you really planning?
Hmm.
I would have dropped like a clue, but
Ah.
you didn't. You asked a kind of
I'm okay with
psychological
it.
question.
I'm okay with what you gave.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So
And yeah, and then Flair zips out.
mhm. You off to work or to school
Flies
right
off.
now?
I think he's going. I think he's going. I think he's going to school because he wants the tapes at his dorm room.
Sure. All right. So Flair is off for that. Antares went to his appointment at the laboratories. Vanguard, were you planning to go to the marksman headquarters or?
Yeah, he was gonna go see if he could get some word in with his gramps about the minion that he saw or thinks he saw.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you're going to talk to him specifically as opposed to say Shotgun Arcana?
Yes.
Okay. I mean that's fair. He's certainly the one that you've kind of reached out to the most so far. That's entirely reasonable. Yeah, so I mean, I think that especially given that things have been going pretty well lately, I think you're able to kind of let them know that you're heading in and want to talk a little bit without any sort of difficulty or any sort of fraught emotion to it.
Yeah.
So do you say anything about what you want to talk about, or how do you pitch it?
I've got to speak because we were talking about stuff that needs to get cleared.
Mm-hmm.
Vanguard got those lobstermen were kind of tough. Vanguard got rocked a lot.
Well, this is part of why I was saying, what do you guys want to do in your downtime? So,
Mhm.
yeah.
And so
I'm going to also just briefly, Antares, I don't know if you had Hopeless, but I think the choice to go on a vacation sounds like flinging into Easy Relief. So
That's the only one I don't have.
Ah!
It figures.
Yeah.
I thought about that. Can I clear anything like this? I mean, had I handled
Or for that
dealing
matter,
with-
run from something difficult.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
afraid.
yeah.
I could clear that. Yes,
Mhm.
that works. Okay, I'll
Yeah.
clear that condition. That makes sense. I did
Hey.
run because I ran away from the ocean
Yeah.
after being fish food.
Hmm. So, Vanguard?
when he gets in there and he meets his Gramps, he's like, "Hey, Gramps, Reaper couldn't come back, could he?"
Why would you ask?
I'm going to clear afraid
Mhm.
by running from something difficult. He's not going to tell him that
Okay.
he saw one. He's going to tell him, "I've just been I don't know if it's stress, but I've just been having nightmares about him in the battle, and
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of got me thrown off."
No, I can understand that was a tough one for all of us. Well, I mean, I wish that I could tell you an easy answer that, of course, he could not come back. Because he was dead. But we live in a world where strange things happen. And it's hard to ever say something could never happen. I mean, after all, with your friend, we're dealing with a potential return of Dectori, which is something I never thought would happen.
And
But as far as I know, Reaper is still in that tomb where we left him. And I think that because it's just the two of you, there's a little bit of a not finger quotes exactly, but there's there's the double meaning there.
Yeah.
That they are in the tomb where we left them.
Yeah, and he's like, "Okay, it's it's just weird that I don't know, had such weird happenstance that now suddenly these nightmares, I don't know. I Part of me wants to say it was just a coincidence, but that's foolhardy to think that it wouldn't just be a coincidence, right?"
Well, I think that I'm not an expert in modern psychology or anything, but as someone who's been doing this hero thing for a while, you've had a good string lately. Victories where you're able to save people, stop villains, and there hasn't really been a lot of cost that you've been needing to pay lately. And because you know more than most heroes of your age, that sometimes that cost does come. I wonder if part of you is just anxious about wondering when that might happen for you, by remembering a time when it happened to our family.
And he kind of looks down and he's like, I would really like to say that I don't think that would happen to us. Cause like, it's like my friends are pretty strong, like legitimately so. But so were you guys. So was he. And like he kind of for a minute there he pauses and he like it's like he has a realization and then he's like, thanks, Gramps. And he is actually going to dart off because he is going to take a foolhardy action
Okay.
Uh-huh.
and go see what's in that tomb.
All right.
Ooh.
Mhm.
So, the tomb is, in fact, the monument to the fight, right? Where there's this sort of it's like a public park monument sort of statue commemorating that defeat in particular and having in memoriam of the fallen marksman. The what was it? Rifle Revenant? What was
The
it?
rifle revenant.
Yeah. And so there is, in fact, a sort of a like public memorial statuary that is, in fact, also the tomb. This is a little bit like the death of Superman had kind of this thing, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, I think you having been thinking more about these dreams are also remembering that the first one that you had was in fact a vision of this memorial collapsing into a sinkhole. So the complication here, of course, is that like this memorial is in a public place. It's in a
Right.
park. So what's the plan here?
He may have to come back for nighttime just because it's not going to be quiet. So he will
Mhm.
he's he is going to wait for tonight,
Mm-hmm.
but he's also going to wait for Mayhem to get back because Mayhem knows how to break things much better than he does.
Mayhem is exceptionally skilled at breaking things. You the
Come
the
to my
question
place.
is, do you have a sledgehammer? Do we have a sledgehammer on site at
No.
at the house?
I mean,
To be fair,
Your hand is a
to be fair,
sledgehammer.
I really don't need one.
I was gonna say, to be fair, Mayhem is the sledgehammer.
Yeah.
All right. So here, check this out. I think that at some point in time, we need to have a a Vanguard and Mayhem move, kind of like I'm trying to figure out with Curie, where I throw her into the air so that she can get the height she wants, where one of us tosses the other at the problem. Because both of us have super strength.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, it could just be either one of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'll be like battle starts. Rock, paper, scissors, go!
Absolutely, I can see that. And he can technically sort of fly. It's more like really fun hopping.
So one caveat that I want to kind of toss in here for group discussion. I'm not ruling on this, but part of clearing Insecure is taking foolhardy action without talking to your team. So if you want to enlist Mayhem, let's just talk about whether that means that you're not going to clear Insecure with it, or do you want like what are you telling her about what's happening? Like, because if you're not fully honest about why you're doing it, then that might still apply. But I guess I just want us to talk through that part of it.
You know what? I won't do Insecure, but I will do because I've got Guilty too,
Mm-hmm.
and he will enlist Mayhem by telling Mayhem the truth.
Okay. So
Because-
that's
Okay.
making a sacrifice to absolve your guilt is to, like,
Yes.
being honest
Because
about.
he feels
Okay.
guilty because he's, to be fair, he's lied twice now. He's lied to
All right.
he's
So
lied
yeah,
to his
no,
niece and
let's
his grandpa.
absolutely play that scene if you don't mind.
To the- And he so he are you at did you work today?
Yeah, I think we're probably getting back. It may be like deeper into the city. We had to go and assist another job site with a major fallout. And so I'm just getting back now.
When you get in there, you see Vanguard. He looks like he was pacing,
Uh-huh.
and he sees you come in. He's like, "Oh, ma'am, are you tired?"
No, not really. I probably should be. A normal person probably would be, but no, I'm not.
And so I'm gonna ask you something, and it's gonna sound really weird.
Uh-huh.
Are you opposed to grave robbing?
No.
Okay.
If you can tell me why. Generally speaking, is it gonna involve? All right. So here is no. Don't tell. You can tell me why. I will totally listen to that. But do I need to go grab a shovel for this, or a backhoe or something?
No. It really would just be smashing open a tomb
Okay.
in a park, not in the kind of like dead part of the dead center of the city to memorialize a fallen superhero by the name of the Rifle Revenant who happened to be my uncle, you know.
You said this is family business.
Yes, but it's so all right, look.
All right. So we're walking and we're talking. Come on.
Right. And he's like, and before they leave, the High Court is like, look, so what the public knows about what happened isn't completely true.
Okay. Does this have anything to do with the little soccer ball sized minion thing that you saw last night?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right.
Because Revenant didn't necessarily fall to the Reaper in that more black and white sense. He is the Reaper.
Oh, yeah.
He betrayed the Guardians. He betrayed the Marksmen, and yeah. So
Yeah.
like, I so just don't tell the other guys yet,
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
because I'm not gonna lie, I could be crazy and have just been having a lot of bad nightmares. But here's the deal: if we open this thing and he's not there, that's a problem, a very big problem.
Okay. Okay, so I am all on board 100% with helping you do the thing. Um, and we just need to get into this mausoleum
Yeah, and I figured,
to see
you have a
to see
history
whether Lucy is actually dead or if she's a vampire.
right.
Okay. So we're gonna go check out Lucy Westenra and potentially stake them to death.
This is Dracula, by the way. If people don't know that.
Yeah.
And he's like, yes and no, because technically, if we open it and he is there but alive, I don't think we could stake him. But if he's not there, then again, still not a good thing, but not as dangerous for us.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
and and he goes, also, I figured you would be good at this because I'm not good at like deconstruction. And since you work in construction, I thought, you know, you'd know how to do this efficiently.
Efficient may need to well, we'll see when we get there, but I'm wondering about, do we need efficient or do we need careful?
As long as we don't cave it in.
I mean, if
Okay.
you're gonna knock a big hole in the side, people are gonna notice.
Vandalism.
Yeah, that's my thing.
Vandalism.
Is like if I knock a hole in the door and just like pull the door off, it's gonna be obvious.
Just
Yes.
for
If-
the record, this I think everyone would be familiar with it. It is not so much a mausoleum, like with a door on it. It's more like
Think of
the casket is entombed in the foundation of a big statue.
yeah, it's like if
It's
Nicholas
not like
Cage-
there's not a room that you can go in. It's just it's encased in the foundation of the statue.
Yeah, we'd basically have to punch a hole in like one of the sides and kind of like yank it out.
Okay,
so
so
think of-
this
like-
is definitely not going to be something that we can get away with and say, no, that wasn't us. All right, nope, nope, still on board.
Yep. Again, I'm thinking he's like, honestly, I'm thinking more of the vandalism side of things. If you know, like, oh my God, it's a terrible thing. But to be fair, again, if that body's not there, then we're gonna have a lot bigger of a issue than desecrating a hero's memorial.
Christiana,
Mhm.
is this some, might Curie have noticed like them leave like this?
I mean, I think that I'm going to allow Vanguard and Mayhem to kind of dictate that, because I think Vanguard is kind of wanting to be a little discreet about this, so might be careful in that regard. But I'll allow you all to kind of decide how you want to handle. I mean, you might well notice that Vanguard comes and brings Mayhem out for something, but I don't, I'll let you all decide that.
I would say, like, we're not being super loud about what we're discussing, but we're like quickly moving about, getting our stuff, and like basically heading for the door like we are going somewhere with purpose.
So if Curie were to, try and, follow, not.
Wouldn't be the first time Curie has
No,
decided to follow
yeah.
someone leaving the
And I
headquarters.
think Curie would try and follow.
Okay, yeah, and to be fair, we probably wouldn't even notice you, because I'm gonna be real with you. I would expect you to, because you're stealthier than the rest of us.
I mean, Curie literally has a move in their playbook called straight up creeping.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's one of the best names.
Yeah.
So yeah, she would follow and more out of curiosity than anything, try and be sneaky about it.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and to be fair, Vanguard is not an aware person at this point, because again, not a good superior score, so he would not probably be good at noticing you, even if he was on the lookout. But he's kind of distracted because he still doesn't know how he wants this to turn out, honestly. Because again, if he desecrates a statue and there's a corpse in there, whoops. But if there's not, that's a lot. So, and they will have waited, till dark, later in the evening. I would say probably at least midnight or after midnight, as we are about to go basically punch a hole inside of someone's coffin.
Yeah. Here's a question. Mayhem has angry marked. And to clear that, I have to hurt someone or break something important. Disqualify.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Okay. Okay. So at the end of the scene, whenever we figure out what happens,
Yeah.
I've got
Mayhem
it.
gets to chill for a while.
I've also got angry too. Well, we're gonna get that cleared.
Yeah. You may want to take thick and thin skin on one of your upgrades. It's like whenever you have angry mark, take +1 to unleash your powers.
Yeah, I have
It's
I have
always
that
a
one.
bonus.
So, so in any case, you make your way, to the site, this park where this monument is. What does the statue look like, Vanguard?
I would say because Revenant was a sniper sort of thing. So it looks kind of like a position, almost like shaped kind of like a bunker, so to speak. Like he could be, he's like a watchtower almost, like kind of like he would be watching over the battlefield sort of type thing, doing a pose with his rifle sort of thing. And
so it's like still watching over everybody, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's the bunker itself is what's over top of the coffin. It's like I'll say probably about the same size as I was gonna say it earlier, Nicolas Cage's Louisiana tomb, if you've ever seen that thing he built for himself down there in New Orleans. Like it's about that size. So probably the size of like a large-ish tent, but made out of like marble, and like has like the names of like the civilians as well as like the rifle revenant on it for those who were lost in that big battle.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And so I think you arrive in this park, not realizing that Curie is not too far behind. How are you following? Like, where are you when they arrive, Curie?
I think Curie is staying like just within eyesight.
Mm-hmm. But are you on a rooftop, or are you on a street corner or something?
I think she's staying mainly on the ground because there's probably not a huge number of shorter buildings, so might lose eyesight for too long climbing out. So yeah, she'd just be like street corners and such, and just if they look back, she would just be acting casual.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, once we get to the park, I'm sure there's like trees and like that sort of kind of like, because it's a monument park sort of part, so there's other ways you could hide there too.
Yeah, and when get to the park, Carrie would find a good tree and take a perch.
I'm gonna try to look around, see if we see any like civilians or anyone there.
I'm glad you asked, because there is in one of the benches right there in the little the central area, there is a young couple passionately making out. So, like right now, they're not paying a lot of attention to anything except each other. But certainly, I think they're like they're 10 feet from the statue.
Right.
It's a little tacky, but then again, they're maybe not very self-aware right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So your uncle's a little bit of a voyeur, huh?
Well, I said, and he's like, not by choice, I don't think. And you know what? Vanguard will just go. He will actually just go up to them and be like, or actually, no, he'll go up like he's looking at the monument, and
but are you in your costume?
Yes.
Okay.
And he's acting like he's like forlorn, like looking at the thing, and then he kind of looks over and he's like,
I think you get a little bit of a, like, they kind of break off just enough to kind of look at you and just like, what? Leave us alone.
And he's like, and
Did you
he
see
goes-
we're busy?
and he's like,
Yeah,
You
they're
know-
thinking like, "What are you doing, a creep?" You're like watching us. What's going on?
and he's like, and he goes, "This is where they laid my uncle to rest." And he kind of like kind of looks up and down at himself in
Mhm.
front of him.
Yeah, so let's have a provoke someone move here. This is a roll plus superior.
Woof.
That's
Oh
a miss.
boy,
a
that's a
miss.
miss.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oops.
Okay, so let's see. On a miss, yeah, I think they just don't. They're not gonna listen to you, and they're just gonna say is like, so what? Like we're supposed to be sad for you? Like, come on, man, leave us alone. We're in the middle of something here.
Mm.
You know, this
And-
is a public park, man. We're allowed to be here.
And Vanguard just goes, "You know what? You are correct. But also, there comes a time when you have to be a bit more respectful to your surroundings." In his brain, even though ironically, I'm about to do something terrible. He will.
At least
I
he's
need you to
aware.
stop
he's
kissing
being
so
a
I can break
hypocrite.
this tomb open.
Right?
At least he's aware he's being a hypocrite.
He will.
Uh,
Is there a good? Would there be a good vantage point for them to like, that isn't in a memorial park, like maybe like a tourist spot nearby, or like
Here's $20 because there's a no-tell motel down the
Well,
road.
it sounds to me like he was planning to just pick them up by their shirt collars and drag them somewhere.
Yeah. I figured he would call Mayhem over. Mayhem, you get the other side of this thing. I'll get the other side of that thing. We'll both
Like the
heave
two of
them
you
up.
just lift the whole bench with them.
Yes.
actually that's exactly it.
Okay, the bench is bolted to the ground, but you are able certainly to pull it up.
Spang!
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that they kind of freeze as they're just you lift up this bench with them on it.
And we will
And
move them out of like that immediate area to like the entrance to this main area and be like, now could
have a nice day.
yeah, and please
I
enjoy
think
yourself.
about halfway through this walk, they get their phones out and start filming.
Yeah, just what you need, documentation that you were there.
Chadwick was right about this guy.
If he's listening to Chadwick, man, girl, you can do better. That's a red flag, man.
You don't know what you're talking about. Chadwick linked one of my makeup tutorials once. He knows what he's talking about.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. So, dude, you can do better.
I think that is enough that they do storm off in a huff at that point.
Vanguard just fist bumps Mayhem.
We return the bench now that they've left.
It's a little bit twisted.
It
Doesn't
is.
really sit
And-
with the
Yeah,
line
it does.
anymore.
It doesn't sit flush anymore. It's wobble now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vanguard tried to like use his marksman ability to like weld it back in place, and it's just kind of lumpy and not right. And he's like, it's fine.
Yeah, dude, I'm
Eventually
taking.
we'll fix that, Mayhem.
Yeah, I'm taking lessons in welding. I may be able to pick up some pointers for you.
Now, and so like they'll move around to the back side of it, kind of like in the shadow of the statue bunkerish thing, and
All right, so where is it? Just like in the center?
it's basically like if they imagine they put a table and then they just put a big cup over the table, so there's a space in there because they sealed it from the outside. So if we hit it just right enough, we could probably just knock a hole in this backside without tearing the whole thing down.
Okay.
And he's gonna,
Alrighty.
and he's like, and he's trying to, actually, can he? And I was gonna say he will try. Could he try to assess the situation to see if he can tell what
Mhm.
spot to hit it at?
Well, yeah. So I mean, I think that yeah, sure. Let's say roll plus superior.
Please.
Oh my God, you know,
Oh,
you're getting all
dear.
those misses that Flair isn't getting.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Vanguard's just like, I
And
think.
Antares.
Vanguard's
Indeed.
just like,
I
Dang.
think that what you basically determine here is that there's really not gonna be any way to do what you need to do without basically ruining the whole monument.
Yep.
It's just there's not going to be any way to preserve the statue and still break it open.
Okay.
He's like, and Vanguard's like, well, it's my uncle's statue. I will do the honors if you don't want to, because I think regardless of what we do, this is probably going to ruin this statue.
Nope. Well, I'll take the first hit, and then if I can't break through, then we can alternate. How about that?
Sure thing.
Would I have been able to get a close enough spot so I could hear what they're saying?
I think that we would need you to make the a roll to get close enough to hear what they're saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
would
if
that
you want to
be
do your
unleash
straight up
your
creep and
powers?
roll, that would be
Oh,
plus
that works,
plus
yes.
mundane. Yeah.
Okay. Well, and I influence over or
You don't get that for this, not for
Okay.
this move. This
Okay.
is scoping out a person or place.
oh,
Oh boy,
Oh.
that's a
Ouch.
miss. Yeah, so I think that you are okay. I am going to come back to you. All right.
okay.
So we know that you are trying to maneuver into a place where you'll be able to hear what they're saying, but we're going to come back to that. Okay.
Okay.
So I think maybe the panel we see is just you moving into a new position, and there's just sort of there's a panel showing that you from like above and behind with just a shadow suggesting that something's watching you.
Ooh.
Something watching you watch them. Okay, so Mayhem and Vanguard. I will only call for a roll here if you are trying to minimize the damage. If the call is just like, we're here to do this thing, let's just do it, then you can
No,
do that without a
I'll-
roll.
I'd like to at least try to minimize the damage.
Okay.
If we can't, we can't. But
Right.
All right, so I'm going to say this is an unleash your powers move. One or the other of you can roll it. Roll plus freak, and then obviously, the help could come in if it applies. You're in a position to help each other.
I think
yeah.
I think your freak is higher than mine. Mine's 2.
Oh. Well, I have
And you want the
a
first to hit.
move that I roll danger instead of freak, and because I'm angry, I add 1 to unleash my powers.
Oh.
So I'm back up to 3.
Righty-o, then again, demolition as best you can.
All right, let's see. Oh my
Wow,
lord!
Okay, well, so that's a miss, but it's a 6. So with help, you could make it a 7. Vanguard.
I'll help.
Okay. So you use the team. So what is it that Mayhem's doing, and how do you help to try to make this maybe not as bad as it might have been?
It's like right before Mayhem goes to punch, I'm like, whoa, and there happened to be some sort of like thing that was like in the way that would have like made even more noise, or like.
Well, so I have a suggestion if you want.
Sure, yeah.
So I think perhaps Mayhem's initial break does cause the statue part to start to like tilt over and fall, and it's clear that it's basically just going to have the image of the Rifle Revenant just like fall straight on the face and probably like ruin that part of the statue. But you are able to sort of like catch it on that end, so it still falls off of the pedestal, but it doesn't shatter on the ground.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll probably keep some of the noise down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I think with this, you are able to sort of break open this interior compartment. And at first glance, you see like what looks to be a casket there, but you can also see that like once you've kind of exposed this area, you get the sense that you're hearing a little bit of an echo, like it's hollow underneath.
Oh, dude.
Vanguard is gonna go, holy.
And so
Oh,
like yeah,
dude.
so what you're seeing is the top of a casket, but like as you look sort of like down around the sides of it, it looks like it just keeps going down. It's not just sitting on a solid something.
Yeah.
And he'll quickly try to open the top to see if there's anything in it.
You do, and there is, but it's not a body. It is a bomb with a little clock going 5. So you have one chance to do something right now.
I'm going to fly away and retreat, but I want to grab Mayhem on the way and just literally like hightail it away from it.
All right, unleash your powers with a roll plus freak.
Do it. There we go.
Okay, that's a 7. So I think that the stress, perhaps, of this extreme motion, not to mention the surprise and dismay by these circumstances, I think that I am going to ask you to take a condition. Perhaps afraid seems appropriate given the circumstances. But you tell me if you think a different one would be better.
Nope. I think afraid would be that it, because it's basically because he knows that he may have been able to deal with it, and Mayhem may have been able to deal with it, but he's not necessarily sure because again, someone to put a bomb in there would know how tough we are.
Yeah. So I think as you fly into the air away from this thing, carrying Mayhem along with you, there is just seconds later a big fireball erupting from this bomb. It completely destroys the like all of the remaining statuary there. It scorches what's left of that park. It's a good thing there was no one left around. But it also, like, there's little bits and pieces of broken marble dropping to the ground, and what is left behind is a crater which reveals a now collapsed tunnel. And I think our last panel there is we see just a part of the memorial plaque that's now shattered so that the words on it say, "Revenant, still watching."
Ooh, that's awesome.
And then the thing that that's I think on a split panel with that is the reveal that Curie, as you were trying to get into position, is assaulted and ambushed by something like 3 dozen of these little robot minions.
Oh, oh,
Yeah, and so
Okay.
that's our cliffhanger is these
Yeah.
2 things.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's awesome.
wow,
That's awesome.
wow. Oh,
And by the way, his little minions are called they're called the Grave Tide. He uses them
Ah.
like like Zerglings in StarCraft.
Love it.
Brave Tide.
Yeah, the Grave Tide. Yes.
Love it.
Dang.
So, we're ready for our end of session moves.
Yeah.
I've definitely grown closer to the team.
Mhm.
Feel. Let's see, where's my book?
So, explain who made you feel welcome, give influence to that character, and then clear a condition or mark potential.
Oh, it's definitely Mayhem, especially because Mayhem didn't judge about him having the nightmare and thinking he was being watched, didn't judge when asked to go crave Robin and desecrate a famous hero's tomb.
Yeah, it's almost the sort of thing where you feel like, I almost want you to judge a little bit.
You know what? But to be fair, I was it love interest first, then rival. So like,
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you are currently you are the love, the one of the first friend, best friend right now.
Nice.
yeah, see.
So are you marking a condition or clearing a condition or marking potential?
I will mark potential because I did already cleared 2.
Okay, cool.
Mhm.
All right, who next?
I think it's pretty clear that Flair has been growing away from the team. So I am going to take influence over me away from Curie.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
So I no longer have influence over Flair.
Yeah. I think Mayhem is definitely growing closer to the team now. I think she's, finally like finding her feet and determining what she wants. As a person who is, living in this city and is a part of this team. So I'm marking potential for that. And I broke something important.
You sure did.
I went ahead and cleared angry. We'll see if Curie getting attacked pisses me off.
So,
in that,
one of the things that I'll just sort of contextualize too, that I think everyone will kind of come to it at one point, but part of what well, you know what? Never mind. I'll just leave it, and we'll talk about it as things develop. The story develops.
yeah. Well, speaking of Curie, I think Curie grows into her own image of herself.
Yeah. How
Where,
do you see yourself and why?
Yeah, basically, she was faced with the needle as, is your team what you need to be? So she she said, yes, I am one of the Harbor Kids. It matters.
Nice. So, are you shifting a label up and down?
To raise my superior to 2 and drop my danger to -2.
All right.
And also, part of my drives is reject someone who tells you shouldn't be here. Would that count?
You did reject the needle's influence. That's the name of that move. And they were telling you shouldn't be here. So I would say, yeah, that seems like that qualifies to me.
Cool. Yes, and also with that last miss, I got an advancement I took, Won't Let You Down, where I can use 2 team to add +2 to my to a roll when helping. So
great. So Antares, I think you're the last.
Yep, Antares definitely grew more to himself. While he did help Mayhem and Vanguard, this was much more Antares having a vacation and things that going great, and then Antares starting to learn more about his power. So he definitely grew into his image. He doesn't feel like he's grown away from the team because he's trying to be a better superhero, and he very much considers that in the context of being part of the team. So out of character, if he knew about what Mayhem and Vanguard are doing, he'd be a little upset he didn't get asked to go along, because who else can help destroy things besides Mayhem? I can, but so yeah.
But-
So go ahead.
I was going to say, we know you're a little sensitive about it right at the moment, so.
True. So do I have to shift labels if I go into Monarch myself?
I mean, I guess I mean,
You could
it
shift
says
one
to do
label
it, but
up and
you
the same label back down.
right.
Okay,
I
well,
mean,
because I'm yeah.
well, it does
because-
say one up and another down.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
But
okay.
I
then
mean, I will allow you to not do it if that's what you want.
Yeah,
but
just-
you know, because this is
yeah.
you're choosing this option.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because going close to the team didn't quite work, growing away didn't quite work. So this is kind of the one that works
Mhm.
the best.
Okay.
Okay, I'll do it. Although also my Sabi goes down to 1 and my Superior goes up to 2.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, so
you
Mob's
spent
influence.
time
yeah.
learning more, and as opposed
Yeah.
to being out there doing hero stuff.
Yep.
That tracks to me.
Okay.
All right, great. So that's where we will leave it for this time. But what awaits the Harbor Kids as their adventures continue? We'll have to find out when next we return to adventure on so many levels.
So many levels.
Yay!
Thank